What's going on, world? This is Cam coming at you with Shepherds of Men and the Movement podcast. Pleasure to be with you today. Sitting here with my brothers JP,
Yo,
and Wilson.
What's going on?
And the man, the myth, the producer, O. He's a really good producer. He'll actually cut out that delay later.
He caught him right in the middle of doing some stuff.
Right. He was over there producing.
Caught his pants down.
Man, I hope everybody is having a fantastic new year. This is, we're about a week or so into the year now, and it's 2021. Everybody can stop bitching about 2020.
Hallelujah.
You know, if you want to go find something else to use as your excuse for having a bad day, then feel free. Like, just stop using that one, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to start the episode negative, but I just got so sick of people blaming everything on the year. I mean, I don't understand.
There's a bunch of them out there.
There could be some personal responsibility involved there.
Absolutely.
It was a weird year. Well, it was a weird year. China virus and the whole deal. So, but I'm pumped to be here, man. It's been awesome. We were just sitting here talking about our Christmas, different Christmas time with our families and New Year experiences. And unfortunately, I missed the Shepherd's New Year's rendezvous, and I'm pretty glad I did, from what I hear.
Well, let's just say we got rid of 2020.
Yes,
yeah, that's
you
true.
Flushed it.
Hey, we flushed it for sure. 2020 is gone.
Yeah, well, that's good. So before we get into what I want to talk about, and I got a topic that I just kind of want to hit on, and it's not, I know, again, shocking. It's not very bulleted or outlined or organized. It is going to be purely off-the-cuff, heart kind of stuff, but was inspired by something I was reading last night, actually, matter of fact, and I'll bring that up in a second. But before we do that, again, Happy New Year to everybody. As we're getting rolling into this new year, I just want to tell you, if you're a listener or follower or watcher or whatever, we have noticed, number one, that our YouTube subscriptions are increasing, and we appreciate that. And if you are not currently a subscriber to YouTube, I would love for you to go there right now while you're listening to this, or whatever platform you're listening on. I've gotten to where I listen more on Google Podcasts recently for whatever reason. I don't really care. If you're on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher
Anchor
or anything else, or Anchor, most of them, if not all of them, have a subscribe button. When you subscribe, now we send out notifications every time we have a new episode drop. It's usually on Mondays, but you'll also get that directly from the podcast platform if you subscribe. So you know it kind of before anybody else does if you're subscribed. Same thing with YouTube. They do the same thing on there. So just a cool way to make sure you're getting the freshest stuff as soon as it comes out, and helps us continue to grow our online presence, online platform. So as we move into some other realms with how we're going to be using our platform, that just allows us to have a little more, a little more power. Not in a negative sense, but in a way that the power for the good for the people. So do that. Check it out. ShepherdsOf.men is our website. You can get links to everything on there, Instagram, Facebook, the whole deal. And just keep an eye out for what's coming, because it's going to be huge. We actually, as a matter of fact, this week that you're listening to this, we've got some really great things. Me and JP and Wilson are going to be plugging into a really exclusive summit of business coaching and some different things that we're going to be partnering up with some people on and creating some connections on, and really, as I've heard JP say recently, take this thing to the next level. So it's exciting times, and it has never been more necessary, which is what I wanted to get into, unless you guys have if you want to say anything before we get rolling right into it.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Make 2021 better than 2020.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly had a great year last year.
Yeah.
I was down at my dad's this weekend. I went took a little hunting trip down there to Mississippi weekend or so ago, and he was like, "Man, I don't know. Everybody keeps bitching about 2020, but it's a pretty good year." I was like, I thought so too.
I haven't done the numbers yet, but
it was weird.
I feel like the fourth quarter was really what set my year up. Really, really
financial side.
Yeah,
dude. I actually just had the conversation today where I got final numbers back on financials. Best year we ever had again, third year in a row, company wise and individually, which was exciting. So it's good that, not that everything's about money, but it certainly makes a lot of things easier.
Man, it makes life easier,
like food and shelter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the money. What it does.
It's the choices. It's the choices.
It's
well,
just
the other thing I looked at, and I really, really don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I was wrapping up our stuff for the end of December of our budgeting stuff or whatever, and I was just looking at what we were able to do as far as giving and gifting and everything, and it was just the most we've ever done, and I just thought, yeah, it's cool, it's just neat, it's like if you can create more resources, then you can create probably stronger relationships, or you can care for people in a different way. Not that just financial stuff is the only way you care for people, but sometimes just a hug is what they need, even if they don't have a mask on. So anyways.
Right. Oh, that's great.
I love the one of the coolest things about that is as you progress and you do better financially, career, whatever it may be, you start to open up somebody else's eyes, and that's where the pleasure comes in for me. I was having a conversation with a young man the other day, which to show his maturity, he asked me, he said, "What are your goals in 2021?" And this was before the new year. He was asking me, like, what do you want to accomplish in 2021? And I laid out some things. I told him, I said, January is going to be a time where we're going to be doing a lot of game planning from a Shepherds of Men standpoint, but career standpoint, my household, I ran through some things. I said, I want to double my income again and stuff. He said, double your income again. And I said, yeah. And he said, if you don't mind me asking,
what is it now?
Yeah, what'd you make? And I told him, because I've had a lot of conversations with him, and he's reached out several times about different things. And he was like, you want to double your income? And I was like, yeah, why not? And he was like, that's a lot of money. And I said, yeah, but I mean, if I miss and I come up short, I'm still doing pretty good, right? And he was like, yeah. I said, you're only as good as where you put your ceiling. Mm-hmm. So if you say, hey, I want to make an extra $5,000 this year over last year, then you're going to probably make $5,000 more this year. Mm-hmm. And if you do exceed that, it'll be by just a little bit. But if you put it out there, you're going to stretch yourself to try to reach it.
I'm going to tell you something crazy about what you just said. I didn't know exactly. I usually have a pretty good running number, but I had an idea of what my goal for the year was, just personal income from my main income stream. And that number that I wasn't 100% sure about, but I'd been talking about all year, like either vocalizing it or mentally just thinking about it, number. Today, when I had the final tally, it was $1,000 more than what I had been talking about.
Oh, nice.
Exactly $1,000 more.
That's awesome.
So
I'm telling you.
Then I was kind of kicking myself. I was like, I should have gone higher.
Right? Well, that's fact, man. Yeah. I mean, it really is. Your ceiling, that and the bums you hang out with.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the big thing. That's probably what's holding you back. But
and the books you read, which I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Heck yeah.
So
no, it's. I mean, you got to start it out. The new year is here, and it's about what you speak. You've already hit on it, which is pretty cool.
But it's not a January 1st thing.
No,
it's not a January 1st thing.
It's a continual thing. Every day you got to be looking at that or speaking it, or that's what I was just grateful for. My wife's Christmas present came in later than I wanted it to, obviously, because it's after Christmas. But she was ecstatic. It was awesome. But literally looking at all the Christmases since we've been married, this year we were able to spend more money on Christmas than we have ever had before. Now, I already know my giving's higher because of its correlation. Yeah. It's natural. But now we've been looking at like who we want to support, and did it with Rise Transportation, been able to connect with Rise Up Cooperative. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be using all proceeds to our donations are going to go to their cause.
Nice.
Which it literally lines up exactly with what I wanted to talk about or what I wanted to accomplish. They're already doing it. So I'm like, well, you're exactly what I wanted to do.
You have the similar name. It's
so
almost like it's
like
a better plan than what I had.
Yeah. So I said, okay, here's my sign. So I started giving to them, and they're appreciative, and they're just amazing people. In general.
If you guys haven't checked Rise Up Cooperative, founded by Joe and Sandy Pricer, I'm sure they would be happy for you guys to check that out. They deal a lot with like at-risk youth and things like that, and they're just a great nonprofit organization that's newer, based out of Chattanooga. And we're actually going to be guests for them. We're going to be hosting a workshop for them in February.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yep, it's going to be cool.
So, yes, we just made that decision, and then we've had some final, discussions with some other stuff, and it's all coming together, man. It's just I give all the glory to God, man. That's where it belongs.
To send it.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. I'm excited now.
I haven't seen you guys since Christmas. I mean, as far as in the studio. So yeah, I can't. I just now realize that it. Shoot, it was awesome for us, man. I think I'm finally getting through to mine because we spent more than what we should have for Christmas, but it was based off a singular. We got the dirt bikes for the boys and stuff, And that was more so not about spending money, but about creating experiences with it and stuff, because we plan to go places, ride, and stuff like that. But one of the cool things is my boys were asking me before Christmas, we were like, what do you want from Santa Claus and stuff like that. Braylon's been asked for a dirt bike forever. Mavericks wanted a dirt bike. He told me, he said, I want a dirt bike. And I said, what color? He said, green. I'm like, we damn, I bought you a green one. How about that?
What do you know?
Yeah.
But
anyways, they were asking, they were like, I said, dude, you guys aren't getting dirt bikes. Dirt bikes are freaking expensive.
I saw Braylon's face in that one picture.
Oh, he
looked like he was about to break down in tears.
I lost $5 on that. I told Dina, I said, he will cry.
He did.
That kid no.
He held it in.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, you lost me $5, dude. And he said, I was about to, but I held it in. And I was like, I knew for sure you were going to do it. But both of them told me, they were like, well, where do we get to go this year? Can we just go somewhere? Can we just go do something? Because they're starting to understand like where the experiences are in the past. We've taken trips and we've given them, trips to go to, whatever, Orlando or whatever it is. And that has stuck with them more than any Stretch Armstrong or Slinky that we put in a stock.
It always will.
Right.
And that was really, really cool because they were asking me.
And
like,
where
can we go?
And that's the thing I want people to understand is that we're talking about materialistic stuff, but it's the memories, it's the experiences, it's the, people say money doesn't buy you happiness, but maybe it can put you somewhere where you can create some happiness, or you can maybe with a cool toy like a dirt bike. I mean, there's going to be a lot of laughs that you guys are going to have with your kids with those dirt bikes, So
well, you're right. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but have you ever paid the bill to go to Orlando and fly a family down there and buy tickets and hotel and everything? It ain't cheap.
Nope, no, it's not.
I mean, you can create your own happiness. I mean, you can be content. Contentment is good in a sense of in that regard of, I don't like to be content in non-growing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to, step on your toes. But no, I meant like content in what you have is good. You can just continue
get better
to
every day.
better.
My dad was having that conversation with me while I was down there. It was really cool because I got to go just me. And my wife and kids went to her parents' place for a couple of days, and I went down there. And I don't remember the last time just me and my dad went to lunch. And so me and my dad sat down, had lunch, and it was just awesome. Just awesome conversation. But he was talking about that whole being content but not satisfied.
Right.
I've always put it as being grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for what I have, but I'm not done.
I'm growing.
Yeah.
I think as men, we all have missions to accomplish something that's greater than ourselves. So, I mean, if you really are content and you stay there, that's where you're wrong. Yeah. You should continually always be moving forward or trying to better somebody else's life with the time that you have.
A dragon to slay and a damsel to save. Mm-hmm. Every man needs a
wild at heart.
Oh yeah.
One of the other things my dad said, and this was kind of goes into what I want to get into here, is he owns a logging company and has for 33 years, I think.
What?
Since '87, and
he hasn't run out of trees.
It's amazing, isn't it? And he still lives in the same little town. And
I thought for
still
sure
has a lot of trees within driving distance. Yeah, it's wild.
It's his
because they're plants.
Ice caps are melting.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny.
Poor polar.
It's literally called tree harvesting. It's farming. It's actually farming. It just takes longer to grow them. Oh. Anyways, but no, I just asked him because he's whatever age, in his 60s, 66, and I'm like, when are you going to stop? And he looked at me with the biggest smile. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I guess when I can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he shook his head for me. He said, I just love it. And it was like the purest, like it was anything you think of that you love. He was just, I just love it. He's like, for me, he said, it's just like big toys. Mm-hmm. I get to go out there and play with big toys every day.
Yep.
And he just absolutely loves it, which I knew he always has. Like he knows anything and everything about trees, and he knows all the equipment and all that kind of stuff. And he absolutely finds joy in it.
Oh, dude, the smell of fresh cut wood, and then playing with the toys, picking up big pieces of lumber and throwing it around like it's a toothpick.
It's just what he was put here to do. We talked. Cool. I told him about our episode that he had not heard the one, Your Purpose is Whispering, and we talk about that in there about like whatever it is that God put you here to do. If you're doing it, if you're in that vein and you're living out your purpose, man, there's joy. There is like this crazy joy that you can't explain. And it was just neat to see that. And I was like, that's where people need to be. That like Doesn't matter what it is, but when you find it, now he hasn't just been the same the whole time. He's doing the same in the same industry, same career, whatever. But like they have changed, they've evolved. I mean, my goodness, in '87 they had a little pulpwood truck and some cables in their hands, and now it's like all this really cool stuff. But
back-breaking work then.
I was with them. I mean, in '87 I wasn't doing a lot, but I was helping a little bit.
Last time I split a piece of wood, they put it on the damn Avengers movie. Didn't even ask.
Didn't even ask. Well, every time I watch.
Speaking of, you still owe me a day of splitting wood at my house.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Every time I watch Incredible Hulk, I think, man, I shouldn't have painted myself green.
That's so embarrassing.
So here's to kind of parlay from what we were just talking about. Oh, by the way, you can find us on Parler too, at Shepherds of Men, and we send some stuff out there like Twitter. So this book that I've been reading, I had started reading it a few months ago. Found it online and just kind of struck me, and I ordered it, and I'm glad I did. It's called The DNA of a Man. It's by Matt Hallock, Hallock, Matt Hallock. And it says how your God-given masculinity rebuilds your mind, your marriage, and your mission. So it's all about like being a real man. Like he flat out talks about it in here. Like people got to stop holding back. They've got to stop like apologizing for being a man. It is. I mean, there's so much I could read out of here, but just for time's sake, I'm gonna talk about this one little segment that hit me last night when I was reading. And we were messaging each other, and Chris was telling me what he wanted to talk about, and then I was reading this. I was like, well, this is what I'm going to talk about. But I think if this is not on our website, it probably will be soon. But again, if you want to find it, The DNA of a Man. Pretty awesome book. So let me just read this little section. It says, the world and the time in which you live, the time you were intentionally handpicked for, needs you. Just think about that. The time you were picked for needs you. If you do not go out and live in your full calling, if you're any less than what you are fully called to be, then the rest of us will suffer because of it. God is calling you to bring his peace and order and kingdom into a world that is waiting for you. Dude, that hit me like a ton of bricks last night. And we've talked about this a lot recently about not holding back, not restricting yourself, he goes, as he continues talking, he goes into, how common it is for people to just exist, to just, have a clock in, clock out lifestyle, and they're just, they're borrowing space, and they're, and he's speaking specifically of men, and they get in this apologetic mindset of, if it won't put you out too much, could I have this car? If it won't put you out too much, do you mind if I rent this house for a little while? Like all this almost asking for permission to grow. And he basically talks about like, dude, the thing that you were put here for, and you may not know what that is yet. I would say go back and listen to that episode we just discussed. But if you don't know what that is, spend some time seeking that out. And like JP said, that's not just a New Year thing, but it is kind of appropriate this time of year. People start thinking about, okay, last year either was awesome or wasn't awesome, or it was awesome, but I want this one to be better or whatever. And a lot of people are right now, whatever day we're into the year, and are still thinking about New Year's resolutions or new goals or whatever new things I want to achieve, or how I want to grow myself personally, or new daily habits. Man, whatever your thing is in there, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, add this to it if it's not already there. Spend some time. And this is not going to be like an overnight thing, so this is not something you necessarily check off the list, but spend some time this year figuring out what your purpose is. And when you start, and I believe if you start seeking it, and I don't know that you seek it as much as you just grow and you become better and then it finds you. But as that develops, don't hesitate to go all in on it. When you finally have that thing that like starts, you get that hum, or that, this maybe sounds weird, that just a little bit of tickle that makes you grin. You're like, you realize you're in that sweet spot. Man, go further down that trail. You got to go further down that trail, because I believe that one day, if you continue to do that, you'll be sitting at a table at lunch with your son, and he'll ask you like, dude, you're like 60 something. Why are you still doing what you're doing? And you're like, I just love it.
Right.
I just love it. And when he said that, I thought about what we do here. I was like, that's how I feel about what we're doing with Shepherds. I love it. Like, there's nothing that feels like a grind. There's nothing that feels like obnoxious or whatever, Even in my daily job, I'm in a better place than I've ever been as far as jobs go. And y'all know me, I'm not a job person. but I have a lot of freedom in what I do. And the part that I really find joy in is the people part. The same reason I like this is because I actually do get to truly help people on some level with what I do on a daily basis, and create relationships and do those kinds of things. So I just wanted to have that conversation with you guys and get y'all's thoughts on, how you feel about that as far as, I think that's a pretty powerful thing. What is, if you're not, because it's one thing to say, hey, we should do that. That sounds great. It's another thing to say, if you're not doing that, if you're not fully living out your calling, you're hurting other people. You're holding other people back. The world is not as good as it should be because you won't go all in. If there was ever a fucking time to go all in, it's right now. Like, look at the world around you.
Right.
If there was ever a time that men need to stand up and go all in, it is right now. Right fucking now. Go all in. Like, whatever that means, do it.
That's awesome. Now, on the way over here, my son was asking me, he goes, Dad, where are you going? I said, I'm going over to, I have to say Eric's house because he knows who that is, which is his son. And so I'm going over to Eric's house, and we're going to go record with the Shepherds. And he goes, oh, yeah? And I said, yeah, that's what we do. We go help people, and with our connection or whatnot, helping people is my biggest thing. And being able to know that I get, maybe one or two listeners out there. I know there's a lot more. But even if it was just one or two listeners that truly impacted their lives, that changed their lives forever, I mean, that's enough of the sacrifice, everything that we do on the back end to get prepared, all of those things. It's worth it. And, I think that if more people would help other people, whatever that looks like for you, I think that you'd be more fulfilled in life. I really do. And I think that should be 2021's new thing is what can you do for other people that you haven't done before? What can you do to kind of make things better? Instead of griping, complaining, and whining about how it's not going your way, why don't you think about ways that you can help other people and just take your eyes off of you for a second. It's a bigger world out there.
100%.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I want to take a second just to touch on why you read books. And one of the things that hit me really hard with when I read what you were just reading off there when you sent it to us was books are a great way to reassure you that what you're doing is correct and the grind is worth it and that you got to keep going. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter what, you got to keep going because everybody gets... I love it because so in the CrossFit world, I think it's Rogue that came out with a slogan that said, don't weaken. Like, that's what the slogan is don't weaken. And that's the big thing. That's the separator for people that like go to a high level with whatever it is they're doing and people that don't. Is the ones that don't weaken and they slow down and they fall off. And that goes for everything. That's not just physical fitness. That's your own personal growth, your family life, whatever it may be. That's why marriages fail because they just weaken in their approach, with their wives and stuff. But when you read, it keeps the axe sharp. You're less likely to weaken when you read. Because when you read stuff like that lit a fire in your belly. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you stay on all the time. And some people will ask, like, how do you stay up so much all the time? Like, how are you like all the time getting after stuff and everything? It's like, well, dude, if you'd pick up a book instead of watching, what'd you call it the other day? Idiot Tube?
Idiot Box.
Watching the Idiot Box?
Yep, Idiot Box.
Wilson called it the Idiot Box. I'm not saying don't watch any TV. I mean, there's some shows out there that I really like, and I think there should be a certain level of entertainment because that cycle needs to be there. But make sure you're putting in the good. Make sure you're reading. Don't just sit there and do that. So I wanted to put a little preface out there about that. So
that's a great point. It's intentional. Like, how do you stay up? It's not an accident.
No.
Right.
Yeah, you're constantly sharpening your axe, which that goes to your point, which you were just talking about. You have to sharpen your axe to help other people. And I believe 100% that our purpose in being here is to help other people. There will be millions, if not billions, of people impacted by what we do.
Yep.
Now, however long that takes, we will not weaken. In the approach to do that. But if we're talking about going after your purpose and stuff like that, and if we're just talking to people in general about finding their purpose and stuff, I think God has a really, really good way of hiding your purpose behind your fear.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because in my opinion, if you start to attack the fears that you have in your life and go after the fear, because you can't like I'm reading a book called The Superior Man right now, and he said if you're not living your life just past where your fear is every single day, then you cannot have transformation that is required to live your purpose in life. I was like, man, dude, that's pretty freaking deep.
Yep.
But if you, without getting too deep into that, look at what you're afraid of. And please understand what I'm saying by what you're afraid of. Like, what gives you those butterflies? What makes you kind of like, like that heart flutter and stuff. And I personally believe that you have to chase your fears, and God will expose, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, will expose what your purpose is in life. You'll find it, because when you conquer your fears, no matter what it is or what the situation is that you're attacking, you'll start to go, ooh, that's good. Get that rush, you get that adrenaline with it and stuff. And I believe that that's when you can really start to impact other people, is when you go through the fire a little bit, then you can go, hey, look, it's not that bad. Like, you can do this. I know it's scary on that side, but on the other side of it is the most blissful thing you've ever seen in your life. So I think people have to blaze trails. I think that for a purpose standpoint, like we were talking about earlier with money, there's a lot of young people out there that have never been exposed to people that said, dude, we used to talk about it all the time when I was younger. We would be afraid to jump a jump, like on our bikes. Like we would, the whole rickety board with the cinder blocks and stuff that you put up.
Slides down
we
for
get
you.
it. Yeah, we get it.
Sure.
We get it bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Or jumping off of a high cliff or something like that. And
Love
me and probably, I think it was like 5 friends in Colorado. We all rode BMX bikes, played ball on the road and stuff. And we like to, do the extreme sport stuff. But we had a phrase that was "fuck it."
I've heard that phrase.
Yeah, and that was our
that's
phrase.
Before YOLO
phrase.
was cool.
Yeah,
That was our phrase. And before we knew all the literature side of things, that action always trumps fear.
Yeah.
Right. You take action, always trumps fear. That was our way of taking action. It was a trigger to say, fuck it, just run and jump.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And we used to do stuff.
And
like
as
that.
you get older, you actually take an analyze fuck it.
Right.
No, you beforehand you look at it and go, fuck it.
Right.
do
No,
it.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not jumping off that cliff.
Not doing
I've done it. I know what it's like on the other side.
I saw Caden, my stepson. I took him to the skate park to ride today when I was working, and I went to pick him up, and I saw this guy that was like, and I told him, I was like, man, that's an OG skater right there. This dude was like gray headed. He had to be mid-50s. But what was interesting is all these young kids are out there, and like the teenagers, the young ones are like helmets and stuff, but the teenagers are all cool, so they don't have any helmets on, no knee pads, no elbow pads, no nothing. We're just dumb and we're going to hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
The 50-something-year-old dude is like strapped up, and he knows some stuff, or he wouldn't be there in his 50s.
Right.
But he's got elbow pads, knee pads, helmet. I was like, he's just smarter than y'all.
That's the only
He's just
difference.
smarter than y'all.
He's just
man.
smart. That's experience.
protect
That's
it, man.
experience.
That's what that is.
So.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of my thought process behind that. If and I know this isn't about finding your purpose. This is about kind of taking action. Times now to act and stuff like that. And that's, I would suggest, and just with all that being said, your purpose is cloaked behind your fears. And I promise you, if you will go after your fears, you'll find your purpose. And that's all that to say, on a daily basis, you should try to stretch let me rephrase that. You should stretch yourself on a daily basis to live on that edge.
Yep.
There should be, if you went to bed and nothing made your heart flutter that day, then you just chalk that one up with a red X.
Mm-hmm.
And start tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, and the whole it's time thing. I hope that churns somebody else's stomach. I mean, I hope there's a lot of dudes out there that I know there's a lot of dudes out there that are, living those quiet lives of desperation, and they're just existing. They're just waking up, and they hate where they go to work, and they hate when they come home, and they hate everything else, and it's just the routine. It's the same thing. It's over and over. And, they're wondering, when's it going to get better? Well, it's not going to get better. You're going to get it better. Like, it doesn't just change. Like, I've never seen anybody just keep doing the same shit and their life get better. Like,
What?
I know, right? It's crazy. You've got to actually intentionally do things,
Right.
You have to. And I know that there's a lot of people who are just like, well, I'm waiting on the right time, or I'm waiting until after I do this, or when this happens, or when the kids get older, or what. Dude, you stop being selfish and think about the rest of the world. Think about that statement in the book. Other people are suffering because you're not fully in your calling. You may even be partially in your calling, and you're like, hey, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm just kind of half-ass doing it. I've been there before where I was like, I'm like straddling the fence a little bit. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm kind of like, just in case I'm not supposed to, like, dude, you're not going anywhere. You're just getting chafed. I mean, that's it.
But imagine what a society could do with a group of people. Because I believe like you're maybe 10%, maybe even just the 2% that are truly living out their purpose in life, that have found their purpose and are living out the purpose that they have in their lives. There's probably a very small percentage. A lot of other people are just like you said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of existence. Imagine if we had a society of people that were actively seeking out their purpose in life, that were really getting after it and living life on purpose and stuff. What we could actually do. I mean,
that's awesome.
Well, yeah, it would probably change the world.
It would change the world.
Well, yeah, and you'd have a bunch of people taking ownership and stuff. You'd have like
if we could just change that 2% to 5%, that'd be a huge difference.
Oh, sure, yeah,
just
absolutely.
5% out there of the population would step up and do it instead of letting fear, like you were talking about. I'm glad you brought that up because that's the biggest number one thing that most people have to conquer is their fear of either the unknown or the fear of if I'm going to make the wrong choice or the fear of what if this doesn't work. Just the unknown, really. And I mean that was kind of somewhat captivating me earlier this year or last year, I should say. That if I should go all in. And then y'all's conversation, it was literally, I already made the decision prior to the last episode, the last time we recorded. I already made the decision because I told you, because of all the stuff that we were, about to pay out and stuff like that for some of the coaching and mentorship that we actually need this. And I already made the decision. And then we had those episodes. And some of that was talking about like, you got to have faith. The faith one where y'all reamed me a new one. Which was fun. That was a great one.
Yeah, what was that? What was that about?
About faith and not procrastinating or something.
Just going
over
all skepticism.
In.
Faith over skepticism.
Yeah, faith over skepticism.
Tell the listeners what you got today.
I did. I actually got a bottle of bourbon.
A really nice bottle of bourbon.
Here.
Nice bottle of Four Roses.
Nice. There we go.
With an awesome cup.
Do we have to have a liquor's license to put that on YouTube?
Yeah,
I don't know, but that's a good blend. But
take a syntax out of that.
Yeah, right. But
partially because I felt really bad about that episode. Not really bad. Partially because I felt sort of bad about that episode, and then partially because it said in the rules. I know you didn't read them, but in there it said.
I just glanced over.
Right, you didn't read them.
I didn't read that part. I was like, sweet.
So I owed you a bottle. So
Thanks,
there you
bro.
go. Yeah,
appreciate it. But yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely a telltale sign of like, hey, I need to go ahead and do this. What I already knew I needed to do. What you were talking about, living on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, man, like literally right when I sent the email, it was perfect. Like, all right. Like the weight came off of me, like all the worry or all the whatever your mindset goes through trying to make this a rational decision, if this is the right decision. Right after I sent the email, I was like free.
Well, I think there's, to kind of go along with what JP was saying, I think there's and I'm a Christian, I believe in God, you can believe whatever you want, but I just believe that it's hard to receive a full blessing if you're not fully faithful. I mean, it's just, if you're not fully in, how can you get a full, it doesn't make sense. It'd be like, how can you catch the touchdown if you're not in the end zone?
Right.
Like nobody can throw it to you. Like you can have the best hands on earth and you could be fully prepared, but if you don't step on the field and get in the paint, as they say, then nobody can throw it. God can't even throw you the ball if you're not on the field.
Yep.
So there's a lot to that.
I believe your fear, like you have to shift your perception of fear. It should be a beacon for you, not something that you should be afraid of. Because if you look at the true nature of a human being, your body's job is to keep you safe. Your body would love nothing more than to lock you in a cave and spoon feed you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, survival and growth are totally different.
Yeah, because then it knows you're going to live. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you gotta understand that you're wired that way. That's why you're afraid of shit.
Yeah,
because you're worried about death. You're worried about not surviving or whatever it may be, and your body has taken that to the extreme. And then your mind takes over, and then from there we wander and stuff. So you have to start looking at things differently. And I think from a perception standpoint, you have to attack fear. One of the really cool things that so Maverick on the dirt bike, first time he did it, took off on his little dirt bike
video,
and I
Did
mean,
you have boots on?
Wide open.
Yes.
Yeah, I had boots
goodness.
on.
It was fun watching you
And it
run
was
those boots.
awful. And a sciatic nerve that's messed up right
here
now.
we go.
Dude,
Oh.
that the instantaneous
You
of
just
that happening,
you
you
just
just like
30 years
super
older
dad.
right there.
Dude, I'm
Oh
telling you.
yeah, he became super dad that day.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, he hit the
he
gas.
about outran
and
that
just
dirt bike.
tore off, And I'm sure that it was scary,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you're wide open
yeah.
on a dirt bike you've never been on. It's a
5 years old. Yeah.
gas powered dirt bike. This ain't an electric dirt bike, and he's flying out there, and I'm just praying that he crashes, because I don't want him to run out into veterans out there in the main highway. I'm sitting there like, dude, if he doesn't fall off of this thing and he just keeps going, because he's got good balance, he knows how to ride his bike without training wheels. Man, he hits those stalks in the little cotton field out there, because those are pretty thick stalks. Well, that little dirt bike starts bouncing around. I'm like, thank you, God. And he face plants, and I'm like, oh, good. One of them caught him in the bottom of the chin and kind of cut up his chin and stuff, and he's tore up, obviously, and he goes inside, and I'm out there getting the dirt bike, straightened up. Dina's in there cleaning up his face, and I walk back in there, and I'm like, we're not going to let this beat us. We're going to understand that fear is not going to control us. We will get back on this bike. Whether you want to ride it or not, you're going to get back on. It's not going to beat you. I already had my speech prepared and everything. I walked in there, and Dina said, you will get back on that bike. I walked in there just in time to hear her say that, and I was like,
dude, man.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother time. I'm going to bring that up too if you're done.
But anyways, he ran, he got back on the bike and stuff like that. Didn't want to do it. It was all against his will. He had zero desire to get on the bike. Went around a couple times, realized that he could, let off the gas. We let it, an overnight happen with it and stuff, relaxed and stuff. He realized he wasn't going to die. And then the next day, hopped on the bike, took off around Wilson's house, and was just cruising. Yep. And then he got to where he was showing out.
Yeah, of course.
And stuff. And dumped it a couple times and told him, I said, hey, we're going to get some skull and crossbones stickers, some little ones. Every time you dump the bike and you wreck and stuff, we're going to give a sticker. Helmet stickers. So they're going to start getting helmet stickers.
Bam!
Yeah. But anyways, that was the whole idea, is to understand the perception of fears. You know what? Get back on it. Get after it. Fear's not going to beat you.
Now he doesn't want to get off of it.
Now he doesn't want to get off. He's going to run me out of money and gas.
You bought it.
I did.
But you're right, though, what you said earlier about the experiences. You think about that. Like, if he really does stick with that or whatever it may be, I guess I kind of hate to keep going back to this, but I don't at the same time. I got so much one-on-one time with my dad this past weekend. We were talking about how, I grew up water skiing. That was my thing. He taught me how to ski when I was 5 years old, same age Maverick's 5, right?
Yep.
So he taught me how to ski when I was 5, and I started slalom skiing when I was 9, and we skied religiously every week. If it was warm, we were skiing. And to this day, however many years later, we talk about it all the time, and I couldn't tell you one single thing that he bought me for Christmas. Like I could tell you the hunting rifle that I still hunt with that I got when I was a teenager. And I could tell you the ski that he bought me that I'm about to pass down to my son.
Yep.
I can tell you those, and I can tell you so many stories. And we laughed about, this one place on the river that where I was like, there was like a pool hall there, like off the river, and it burnt down, whatever somebody's talking. I was like, Dad, isn't that the place where that dude was skiing naked? Like just little stuff like that. And it's just, I think about trips with my mom. We did the same stuff. She would take us. On the financial side, my mom really didn't have the means to do a lot, but she would take us on cross-country trips, and to this day we talk about, remember when we were in, Amaretto, Texas, and and this happened,
Yeah.
And that means so much more. I'm a little off topic, but it means so much more than just buying crap, it really does. But I guess maybe on topic, I think that you start to be able to do more of those things when you're really living in your calling. I think whether it be from a financial side or just from a freedom of going out and living life side, like,
Well, and I think part of it does segue into that, though, because part of it has to do with giving and you could talk about kids, or if you don't have kids, just experiences in life. That's a good way to find out, your purpose and why you're here and attacking things like that. Like, if you don't do shit, you're not going to find shit. And
it probably removes fear, like you guys said.
Sure.
Like, it's, you're not as hesitant to go try new things.
Well, so here's another thing. So Braylon, when we went to Disney, or not, Universal Studios, Braylon had no idea that we were going. We pulled up into the airport parking lot, and he's like, who are we picking up? And we're like, we're not picking anybody up. We're going to Universal Studios. We got it on camera and stuff, and Maverick's back there going, oh my God. Braylon breaks down, cries.
Yeah.
Absolutely just dumbfounded, just crying and stuff. And I'm like, That's not a happy cry. He didn't want to get on the plane. He's absolutely terrified to get on this plane. But we made him do it.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm unloading the luggage back there. Dina's talking to him about it and stuff. And I walked over there and I opened the door. I said, get out of the car. You're getting on the plane. And that was it. And he stood up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're good. We're going to go. We're going. We're going to go. We go in there, man. And he sucked it up. It was a tough wait for him. But, once he got in there and he saw that there was a lot of people and it was like,
everybody does this.
Yeah,
Okay,
everybody's doing it. Yeah. So my point to that is after we get done, now he wants to fly everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I have companion passes because I fly enough through Southwest. So like over the next couple of months, he can fly for free with me.
Nice.
So he's been begging me, I'm 12 years old now. Can I go with you and stay in the hotel while you're at meetings and stuff like that? And I said, well, if your mom's okay with it, maybe we'll work some things out and stuff like that. But I just expanded his horizon by doing that. I just opened up his opportunities in life because who knows? If I would not have forced him to do that, he might have lived with a scar for the rest of his life going, oh no. I remember that one time I was about to get on a plane and that terrified me, and I'm glad that I didn't because you never know what could happen on a plane.
Well, and it goes back to like whatever you feed is going to grow. So if he kept feeding that, if he didn't take the action, he kept feeding that, then he would get like the longer you don't do it, the harder it's going to be to do. Whereas if he feeds the other side, which is, YOLO, whatever, just do it.
Yep.
Or it's time, whatever your motto, whatever you want to make it. I would encourage you just be short and sweet and one that inspires you to take action.
Well, and that was
make it happen.
Yeah, and part of that, the conversation that I had with him, because Dina was trying to talk him into him, and not that she was doing the wrong thing. She was trying to comfort him, and stuff like that. But when I opened the door, it was game time.
Yeah,
there is no backing out. You're not leaving. We're going. Time is now. Kind of thing. We're getting on the freaking plane. And when he realized there was no back door, he had to face it. He didn't have a choice. And as soon as we got up in the air and stuff, he's like, this is great. This is awesome. Can we fly somewhere else? I'm like, we ain't even got off the plane yet. What do you mean fly somewhere else?
I like the takeoff.
I want to use that as an analogy for everything we're talking about because he literally had to be nudged a little bit to go do it. But then once he did it, like there's people sitting at home right now or sitting somewhere that might be listening to this, and we're saying it's time. It's time for you to fully engage. It's time for you to be who you were called to be. It's time for you to play your part on this earth. And they're scared to death. They're freaking out, and somebody's consoling them, probably their mama, and it's out of love, but it's probably holding them back a little bit, Just maybe the shepherds are here to kick you in the nuts enough to say you're getting on the freaking plane.
Yep.
It's time. It's time for you to fully engage. And when you do, here's the beautiful thing. You'll be just like Braylon. You'll be flying around in the air going, this is awesome.
Yeah,
right.
You realize, like, why the hell did I wait so long? We've talked about this in the past. Sometimes your family and friends hold you back more than anybody.
For sure.
And it's out of love, like you said.
Absolutely.
But sometimes they're the ones that hold you back. Sometimes it's because they don't want to see you progress past them. But sometimes, like from a motherly perspective and stuff like that, they're trying to protect you. You don't need somebody to protect you.
No.
That's not what you need.
I just want to ask, like, for our listeners, when's the last time what's the kind of word I'm looking for? Not redundant. Not reciprocal. There's an R word. Rhetorical. Reticular.
I was about to say, man, you really gave us a lot of context
like,
clues on that.
There's a lot of R's out there.
So, rhetorical question.
We said raccoon.
Oh, raisin bran. I don't know.
Chocolate covered raisins.
But just a question to think about, when is the last time you truly felt joy like that? When's the last time you were 12 years old in the air flying?
Mm-hmm.
Or how long has it been? Do you even remember the last time that you had that feeling? And if you don't, or you do, and it's been way too long, we're going to keep saying it over. It's time.
Yep.
It's time for you to stop missing that. It's time for you to stop missing it because it's necessary for you. You will never be who you're supposed to be and who you need to be for yourself, for your wife. When he continues into this book, he goes into the whole, if you're not fully in your calling, you are screwing your wife up.
Yep.
You are screwing your kids up.
Yep.
Like you are literally putting a ceiling on them.
Yeah.
and you're doing it for your community, your country, your world.
Let's be honest. There's a serious lack of leadership in this country.
Yeah.
I think in the world as a whole. And I think that, to your point, the time is now to step up and be a leader, and you're not going to be a leader if you don't find out what your purpose is in life, and you don't have to be a leader from the standpoint of being the president or a CEO of a company. You can be a leader of something that's really important to 5 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is an important role to play, but you play it at the highest level. It was what we talked about before, taking pride in what you do. Mm-hmm. Just like if you like being a janitor or a cook in a restaurant, man, do it at the highest freaking level. So when people come in there, they get inspired by you. And that's your purpose. If that's your purpose, then you inspire people by what you do if you're really good at it.
I used to think it was a ridiculous statement, that whole, when you find something you love, you never work a day in your life. And depending on how you read that statement, it can be ridiculous. But we were talking about this weekend. I was like, I really believe that. I mean, I really do. Yeah. Like, I can look at my dad's face and go, he hasn't worked in decades.
Yeah.
Homeboy just wakes up and can't wait to go. Yeah. He said the only thing now is, like, I don't mind rain out days because my body, like, after about 2 or 3 days, I'm like, a good rest day would be good.
Well, let's face it, you can monetize anything.
Sure.
Right. So, and that's, and I used to think that was bullshit too. Find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm like, yeah, tell that to, the guy that was a music expert or whatever it is, or, a music teacher or something. But you could find ways to monetize anything. I mean, you could create something out of it. If that's your passion, then you could create an organization that teaches kids how to, play at a high level or whatever it may be, if you wanted to. Or you could just be a teacher if you weren't worried about monetizing stuff.
Well, I have a hard time believing that if you're actually living, if your full calling, as he says in the book, if you're living your full calling, I have a hard time believing God would not provide for you financially. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to be at the same financial class or whatever, but that doesn't matter. You won't care. I promise you. Right. Like, some of the wealthiest people in the world that are fully in their calling are not happy because of the money. They're happy because of what they're doing. And they just happen to attract a lot of money. Some of the brokest people in the world are not happy or unhappy because of their money. They're happy because they're doing what they were called to do.
That's right.
It really doesn't matter. And there's some miserable fucks that are rich, and there's some miserable people that are broke.
No, that's right.
Right? Yeah. The common denominator is your calling.
That's right.
That's the truth, man.
Yep. I agree
and if you're asking, well, how do I know? How do I know what it is? Man, I don't know how to tell you to get there other than read a lot, listen to good things, hang out with people that have a sparkle in their eye and some bounce in their step. Pray and meditate, all these things that we've talked about in the past, and I just believe it will come to you. I believe that you will be guided into it, whether it be the universe or God or freaking rainbow unicorns. I don't know. Something will guide you into, maybe not rainbow unicorns, but
non-binary.
I think it's already in you.
It's definitely in you. You just gotta.
I think most of them kind of already know. They let fear. It's hidden behind the fear. Like what your JP was talking about. And it reminded me what y'all were talking about. We just recently watched Soul on Netflix, cartoon movie or whatever. And that was pretty cool watching him and then finding his true purpose in life was to bring someone further in there.
Yep.
At the end, it was really cool.
And I think probably all of them inevitably end up pulling other people along.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what he's saying there. Because if you're not in your true purpose, then you're not pulling other people along and making them better. So that's why we're suffering because of you.
Well, like I said, there's no lack of leadership, and every person that's truly living out their purpose is impacting somebody.
Yep.
From leadership role. And I truly believe that. I think everybody, some people fear leadership. Some people are like, I don't want to be in that kind of role, or whatever. But
like you said, you don't necessarily have to be leading millions of people.
No,
you're just a leader in what you do. So 2 things I'll leave you guys with. One is, if you don't know what your calling is, man, spend time working on yourself. Work on yourself. That's all you can do, is you can control how much you're working on yourself. And then once you have identified what your calling is, man, jump in with both feet. Like, it is time to fully engage with what you're supposed to be doing and why you're here. So with that, we're grateful for you listening, because we understand that this helps us. Like, as we talked, I'm better now than I was an hour ago.
Yep.
Because of this conversation. So I know other people are going to be that way as well. And if you are, and we've had a lot of conversations just this past week with people telling us I know I had a couple I shared with you guys where people like, man, this really helped me. This podcast was awesome. I'm like, man, if you got value in it, share it with people. Pass it along and share it with people. And we ask the same thing of you. As Andy Frisella would say, we don't have a fee for this. We don't charge to do this. This is all our own time and money to put this information out. But if it's helping you, it could help somebody else. And this one, I believe, definitely falls in that category. So pass it along, spread the word. Again, you can find all of our stuff at shepherdsof.men, and just get ready, because I will tell you something for sure. Shepherds of Men are fully engaging in 2021. Like, it is going to be the year of the shepherd if you're Chinese, is all I'm saying. It is game time like you can't even believe. And that is not January something hype. That is fully engaged in our calling reality.
Just watch.
And we just watch and listen and subscribe.
and
hit the like button.
And do it now.
And leave a review. And all those other things. Get a t-shirt while you're there.
Nice.
So we love you guys. We mean it. We're looking forward to hearing about you discovering your full calling, and not only discovering it, but fully engaging in it. You've been a part of the movement.